Are you tired of the Sunday scaries? Does Sunday night roll around and you're thinking, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do another 5 days of that 9 to 5 or potentially longer. And you're wondering, how do I actually escape this rat race? How do I get out of it? You dream of the day that you can do whatever you want, chase your passions, spend a little extra time in the morning, spend more time with your kids, just that day of financial independence. You want it to come sooner than you imagine it can. A lot of people think retirement's only at age 65. There's no way that I can do it sooner. Well, that's not the case. For many people, it's a reality. Retiring before age 65, maybe it's in your 40s or 50s, or maybe even just a few years prior than you thought it could be. There is a way to do that. There's a proven blueprint, and I'm going to show you how to do it today. I'm Elliot Apple, founder and financial planner of Kindness Financial Planning, and I've helped hundreds of people retire. And today I'm going to share secrets about how to do that so you can apply it in your own life. Here's something that might surprise you. You don't need an endless supply of cash or passive income or things that people are touting online to achieve financial independence and to actually retire. It's not that. And it's not luck or anything like that. Oftentimes we think, hey, we have to be a lottery winner, I have to inherit money or do something else to have a successful retirement. I'm not going to be talking about those things today. I'm going to show you a proven blueprint that you could use in your own life to achieve retirement. It's not about fancy get-rich-quick schemes. That's not what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to break down mindset shifts today and actual strategies that you can actually implement. So if you're ready to take next steps and apply some of these principles in your life and trade in maybe that daily commute for more daily freedom, you're in the right place. The real problem is that we're taught to follow the same script. Land a job, work hard, maybe do a little job hopping, save money when you can, and sometimes along the way we get distracted by new houses, better cars, or other things. We're not necessarily paying attention to our financial freedom in the future and what that can provide. We're after that easy strategy, something that will make us feel good today. And we think, hey, I deserve this new thing that I'm buying. And I'm not here to shame you on what you're buying or anything along those lines. I'm here to show you how you can change that mindset and how going forward you can save more money and what you need to calculate to actually get to where you're trying to go. So instead of trading your time for money and counting your vacation days each year and wondering, how can I get to this place? How can I spend this time? How can I spend more time with family? That's what we're going to talk about today. And keep that in mind as we go through this process. That way you feel comfortable actually implementing these changes because you know what you'll be after at that point. If you're familiar with the concept FIRE or financial independence, retire early, it's not necessarily so much about the retire early as it is having the financial independence and knowing that you can make these lifestyle changes, whether it's part-time work that you want to explore, a new project, a passion project, volunteering in your community, spending more time with family, whatever it is, the financial independence is the key to this equation. That way you can go out and do the things that you want to do, feeling comfortable with that because you know you have enough money saved to support your lifestyle without worrying. The first step in this plan is to figure out your why and how you want your early retirement to look. So what does this actually mean? This means writing down what you actually want to do in retirement. And don't make it some vague thing like, I don't want to work. Sure, a lot of us don't want to work in that case, but what do you actually want to do? Why is this important to you? Do you want to spend more time with your kids? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to work on a new project that does XYZ for the future? What is it that you're actually retiring to? Because once you get a really clear picture, it makes it a lot easier to make financial decisions and choices that align with that once you know where you're headed. So take a moment, write it down. Do you want to travel? Do you want to move to the country and start a garden? Do you want to start a business and maybe it's impacting change there? Do you want to volunteer your time to make a better impact on the world? How do you actually want to spend your retirement? Write it down. Seriously, maybe pause the video for a second and actually take a moment to write down 3 things that you'd like to do in early retirement. As you're doing that, make sure you get really specific. How do you actually want to spend your day, your months, your years? Maybe the seasons are changing. You can actually do different things during different times that align with the weather or being around the people that you enjoy. When you're tempted to splurge on something or change your lifestyle or increase your spending, you can come back to this why and you can think about your ideal day and how you're actually spending it and how do the financial decisions that you're making today actually align with where you want to be in the future. If you're finding this guide helpful and ready to take charge of your financial future, do me a favor and click that subscribe button so you can be notified of future videos that can help you stay on track for retirement. Also, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment down below. What would early retirement look like for you? Make it as real as possible in the comments. Step number 2 is to calculate your financial independence number. And there are a lot of complicated ways that you can actually do this with financial planning software, calculators online. But one of the easiest ways is just to figure out how much you're going to spend in retirement. And what I mean by that is, do you have a mortgage during that time? Are your expenses increasing because you want to travel? Or do they drop off because you can live a simpler life and you're okay with that? So start to forecast what will your expenses actually look like. And then a really easy back of the envelope calculation is to multiply that number by 25. So for example, if you want to spend $100,000 per year on top of any Social Security or pension or any other income sources, you'll need about $2.5 million saved for retirement. This number of 25 tracks back to the 4% withdrawal rate, which I'm not going to go into in this video. There's plenty of videos on that out there. But if you're retiring early, you might want to be more conservative. Maybe it's 30 or 33 that you're multiplying that number by. So instead of 2.5, maybe it's closer to 3 that you need. It all depends on your comfort level and understanding about this 4% withdrawal rate and whether you can make some lifestyle adjustments if the markets don't necessarily behave as you expect them to, particularly in early retirement. When you do this calculation, it'll give you a really good idea of what number you're actually aiming to go for at that point in the future. So keep that number in mind as we go through this video. Step number 3 is to actually build a budget around a high savings rate. If you want to retire early, your savings rate is probably going to have to be higher than the average person. 10 to 20% might not cut it in this situation. You might need to be at 30 or 40 or 50 or potentially even higher, depending on how quickly you want to retire. And that's why we talked about the purpose and why you want to retire. What are you retiring to? Once you have that in mind, it's a lot easier to say, hey, I'm willing to save half of my income to get to early retirement. That's a worthwhile trade-off for me. And as you think about this and you look at your budget, pull up old credit card statements, bank statements. If you use a software program, go in and analyze that. Talk about that with your spouse, or if it's just you, reflect on it with yourself to figure out where do you want to actually make cuts. Housing, transportation are 2 big ones that come in mind, and those are hard adjustments to make. But if early retirement's a goal, that's usually a good place to start. One of the other expenses that I see quite a bit is food and dining out. When I go through that with people in the past, they're shocked at how much they're spending at restaurants, particularly with the high inflation that we've had these past 2 years. So go through that. This isn't about cutting the things that you love to do. Again, I'm not here to shame spending. I love people who spend money on things that bring them joy and bring them happiness and contentment. So this isn't about cutting every single thing to live a very miserable life. It's about being intentional. And perhaps the things that you've been spending on right now aren't aligning with your future goals of retiring early. Once you analyze that budget, automate your savings. So if this is money going into a 401k plan or an IRA or a Roth IRA or a brokerage account so you can access the money in early retirement, automate it so it's set up and you don't have to think about it and it's not an afterthought. Step number 4 is making sure that you're actually investing these funds so you can have a tax efficient retirement. So for a lot of people, this might mean maxing out your 401k, potentially doing after-tax contributions and in-plan Roth conversions or the mega backdoor Roth strategy, analyzing whether you can make Roth IRA or traditional IRA contributions or do a backdoor contribution there, and then even potentially saving money to a brokerage account. A lot of people don't necessarily focus on this investment, but it provides a lot of flexibility, particularly for those in early retirement, because they don't have complicated rules like 401ks do, or it's a little bit harder to get money out prior to 59 and a half without a penalty. There are still ways to do it, but a brokerage account is still fairly tax efficient depending on the types of investments you're using and can be used in early retirement. So if you retire at 50, that could be the first source of liquidity that you use. If you're in your 401k and you have the catch-up contribution, making sure that you take advantage of those. Or if you're between 60 and 63, there's sort of a super catch-up contribution for those people. So just being mindful of where can I actually place these savings to achieve that financial independence number, and what is the tax makeup of that so I'm set for early retirement, so I'm not facing penalties, or I'm at least familiar with how I can get money out of those penalty-free as much as possible. Step number 5 is to analyze whether you can increase your income. This could be renegotiating with your current employer. It could be job hopping. It could be a side hustle. I'm not going to go into great detail on that because I think a lot of those tend to be overrated out there. But there are times that I've seen people pursue their passions, something that they do normally, and they enjoy it and they control the time and how much effort and energy and money that they're putting into it, and can actually create a pretty good side income. So that is something to consider out there, that if you could earn an extra $1,000 or $2,000, it may not be as important now, but it might reduce the amount that you need in early retirement. Maybe this is the case where you want to actually quit your main stressful job, but you don't mind still working on things that you love to do. And maybe that brings in a little bit of income that reduces that number that we talked about earlier, whether it's 25 times your annual spending or 30 times your annual spending. If you're earning a certain amount, you can actually reduce that overall number because you have that income coming in. And if you receive extra income, that's extra savings that can go into investments that can produce income in retirement and maybe shorten the length of time that you need to actually get there. As you think about your income, don't forget to account for things like healthcare, which can be really expensive in early retirement, or it can be cheaper depending on healthcare premium tax credits. That's something to familiarize yourself with, as well as potentially talking to a financial planner about Roth conversions or the 0% long-term capital gains bracket. As you reach that point, you'll just want to be paying attention to taxes, because I see a lot of people not pay attention to this and end up costing themselves more money than they've ever anticipated. Let's talk about roadblocks for a second. Life is not a linear path. It doesn't just go up. There will be some bumps in the road. It could be a huge stock market decline, a global financial recession, a war, something that goes on that you're not expecting. You may lose your job. You may need to take a step back in work and then increase that later on. Again, life is not linear. There are going to be roadblocks along the way. Make sure to celebrate the milestones along the way. So if you reach 50% of your financial independence number or 75%, make sure that you're enjoying those. Or if you maximize your 401k for the first time or start saving in your brokerage account, make sure that you are enjoying those time periods. So that way you can celebrate the wins along the way, which will keep you motivated to get to that financial independence number that you calculated earlier. And then lastly, don't forget to remember that why and what you are retiring to. That's really important to keep you on track. Escaping the 9-to-5 is not a pipe dream. There are people all over the world who are doing this, who have a very clear vision of what they're retiring to and how they want to spend their time. They've calculated their financial independence number. They've made appropriate adjustments. They're saving at a really high savings rate, and they're investing it to get to that goal. You can take back control of your time and start living the ideal life that you want, that you're outlining. Believe in it. I've seen people do it, and I know you can too. I wish you the best on your financial journey. Thanks for watching.